Hello, everyone. Welcome to Cracking Addiction. My name is Dr. Fergal Armstrong, and we have with us today Dr. Laura Petracek. Laura, I thought today we'd have a little chat about the seventh step in the 12-step program. What is the seventh step?
The seventh step, Fergal, is humbly ask God to remove our shortcomings.
Humbly ask God to remove our shortcomings. And that immediately precedes the sixth step, doesn't it?
We're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character.
Right. So the sixth step is we ready ourselves, and then the seventh step, we actually get in there and we ask God to remove our character defects. And we know what our character defects are because we've analyzed those and confessed those in our fourth and fifth steps. Is that right?
Yes.
So the seventh step is the culmination of a really quite a lot of effort. And when I first read the seventh step, when I first started thinking and speaking about the seventh step, I actually thought, well, it's quite a passive thing because we're asking God to get rid of our character defects. What do you say to that charge that the seven steps a very passive process? I mean, it's one night of prayer. Dear God, please remove my character defects. Done. What do you think? What do you say to that charge?
Well, it's not a one-time asking.
No.
And no. So every time, well, I shouldn't say every. Sometimes when I'm acutely aware of my character defects, I will say, God, please remove this defective character. So, like, for example, APEC conference is in San Francisco, and the roads are a nightmare. So I was stuck in traffic for 3 hours, and my patience was at zero. So I said, God, just give me the patience to not drive on the sidewalk or something because I'm so frustrated with
Yeah.
this traffic. Um, but it's asking in general, God, help me remove these shortcomings. But it's also active in the sense that you're asking. So that's the active part. You're asking. You're not
Yeah.
just magically hoping things, just our character defects disappear. But asking is a form of humility.
Mm,
We're humbly asking. We're
mm,
not demanding. We're not insisting. We're asking. And
mm.
that takes humility.
Yeah. It takes humility to go through this entire process of self-discovery. I mean, the seven steps really the final step in a path of self-discovery where you are confronted with your own shortcomings. In a process that can sometimes be brutally honest.
Right. The process, yes, in and of itself can be brutally honest,
Hmm.
but not meaning humiliation. And that's
No,
not being brutal.
no,
Yeah, it
yeah, yeah,
means, and some people are afraid of that, like, oh my God, I've been humiliated enough. And so it's
yeah.
important to explain. A lot of times people don't recognize or don't know the differences in the definition between being humble and humiliation. And because so many addicts and alcoholics have been humiliated or feel humiliated by their addiction, they shy away from this step. In part, I think, because they don't understand the definition. So to say humbly, means um, being humble, being receptive, not demanding, um, not being humiliated. It's not meant to knock you down. The steps are meant to help build you up.
And so when I thought more deeply into this issue, I want to pick up on something that you said, and that is that it's not a one-off thing. It is a process, which then brought me into thinking about the seventh step in the context of the growth mindset, where really every day you are asking God on a daily basis to rid you of your shortcomings, the same shortcomings that you have in a mind frame of humility identified in yourself. So really, it's about personal growth. And I think when I reflect on it, it's not. it's not wishing doesn't make it so. Yeah. It's not wishing. An active daily meditation on personal growth, which requires daily effort, and as you say, a lot, requires humility to replace our entitlement, our denial, with something much more positive and rewarding, an open, honest contribution to life and daily personal growth. So really, it's a very active step that really should be with us every day when we wake up. Every day, ask God, help me for me to replace my shortcomings with something much more productive.
And there's also a step, the 10th step kind of complements. It's a complementary step in that each night to do just a quick, short inventory. Okay, where was I on the plus side, in terms of shortcomings, and where was I on the minus side, to also help you have a honest appraisal and hopefully do better tomorrow.
Yeah,
So it's yes, in the morning, ask for help. At night, okay, how did I do? Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and that kind of reflects some of the exhortations that I have heard, where every morning I achieve a small win, I make my bed, and then when my head hits the pillow at night, and I haven't used my drug or my substance or alcohol, that no matter how shitty the day has been, that has been a successful day. So there really is that bookending of the day, isn't it?
Yes, there is that bookending of the day, but it's not just that I haven't picked up a drink or a drug. It's also, once you have made the commitment, you're clean and sober that day. It's more so. It's the step is saying, okay, so let's look at your day. Were you impatient? Were you arrogant? Were
Mm.
you demanding? Were
Yeah,
you any of negative things?
yeah,
So it's more than just, I stay clean and sober today. Hooray for me.
yeah. So really, what I'm hearing, it's progress, not perfection, that we're aiming for. I see that. I see that statement written all over the gym that I attend on an infrequent basis, and that reassures me. It's progress, not perfection, that we're looking for. And I think is it fair to say that of the seventh step?
Yes, it's progress, not perfection.
Yeah,
And the step is leading us in the right direction. I love rhymes.
exactly. Yeah,
So,
yeah,
but all of the steps are, the whole program is progress.
yeah,
We're never going
yeah,
to reach, you never graduate. It's one of the frustrating things for me because being someone who loves school, you never graduate from the program.
yeah. Now let's talk about the secular context of the seventh step.
Right.
What would you say to those who feel that it's not secular enough?
Well, you can reinterpret God as seeking help from oneself or from the community or from your therapist or from a support group. Um, also
Hmm.
emphasize the importance of self awareness, but it doesn't have to be about God. And it definitely doesn't have to be about Him. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Because there are those that feel that the use of the word God is actually a barrier to access to 12-step services, as it were. And it's not the first time that the word God appears in the 12 steps, is it?
No, God appears many, 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 many times in the 12 steps. And it puts people off. I mean, sometimes I've heard people when they first walk into a room and see the 12 steps on the wall, they're already, have that as an excuse, like, oh, yeah, this isn't for me, because they recoil from God. A lot of people have had negative experiences with religion growing up, and so they've X'd off God.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, how do we replace God?
Well, again, replacing God or Him and by seeking help from oneself, emphasize the
Mm,
value of reaching out for support, that you
mm,
don't have to do this alone. That's important to keep emphasizing
mm.
um, and talk about that
So,
it's a
just to be,
journey.
yeah. So, just to be clear, not having a belief in a Christian God, that is not a barrier to accessing the 12-step program.
There are specific groups that are non secular, they don't mention God once. And I don't know exactly how. I'm sure Australia lists groups and has whatever title they are, like women only, men, um, non secular. So that's what we have here in the States. So there are people that do not attend any uh, 12 steps that have the word God in them because it is a barrier to their recovery. And there's so many barriers to one getting clean and sober. You don't want to add another one.
Can we think about then this process, the progress, not perfection? And we've agreed that it's almost like a daily meditation on how we have to actively engage in a change in ourselves, moving from entitlement and denial to something that much more beautiful. How do you actually do that? What's the actual process of that reflection?
Well, the process of going from entitlement to denial to uh, more of an acceptance or soul searching is is in and of itself a process. It takes time. That's where the help of the support group, of one sponsor, your therapist, if you're in therapy,
Mm. So
it's
it
help
can
from other.
involve therapy.
Oh, I think most definitely. I
Yeah.
mean, that's where. I mean, because people in the 12 step aren't necessarily ones to point out your shortcomings. I mean, my shortcomings have primarily been pointed out by a spouse. So, but a therapist could definitely help you point things out because that's not really the role of a support group. And sometimes our sponsor will, but usually it's the people closest to that. If we ask, they could tell you your shortcomings.
Yeah. So I suppose that's another point to draw out that really being active in a 12-step program doesn't preclude you from accessing therapy. And actually accessing therapy can quite beautifully dovetail in with your growth journey.
I think, AA and therapy, I mean, for me, have gone hand in hand throughout my whole recovery, meaning I've been in with therapy and also 12 step intertwined the whole way through. I think one definitely, like you said, complements the other.
I mean, you've been through the 7-step yourself. What's it like? What would you say to someone else who's just about to embark on this?
That it's a process. Like you stated earlier, it's progress, not perfection. It's something that you do for me on a daily basis. For other people, I guess when the issue or character defect comes up, that nobody's perfect. You fall down, just get back up um, and keep going.
Keep going. Get
Just
up and
keep
keep going.
moving
Just keep
forward.
going.
Just keep one
Yeah.
foot in front of the other. Don't get stuck. Don't look at where you fell.
Yeah.
You've been given a second chance. Keep going.
All right, Laura, thanks so much for your pearls of wisdom today. I really appreciate your time. That's all for today, folks. My name is Dr. Fergal Armstrong, and this has been Cracking Addiction.